Good evening, everyone. Hello, it's Julia from the Paper and Ink Boutique. How are you? Hello. So nice to see you tonight on another Monday Night Live. And tonight we are talking about Mintay chippies, Southern Ridge chipboard, and Distress Embossing Glazes. Hello, good evening, everyone. Hello. So Brianna's normally here with me. She's actually running a little bit late, so it's just me right now. So I'm going to do a little bit of talking, but I do want to remind you, just going to post that in there. There we go. I want to remind you about our demo deal for tonight. So what is the demo deal? The demo deal is... Sorry, I'm just getting an error message. Hang on. Might have to wait until Brianna gets here to fix that. Anyhow, I'm just going to keep going. Okay, so the demo deal is 33% off Mintay chippies and Southern Ridge Trading Company chipboard, and 25% off Distress Embossing Glazes. Yeah, so that is the demo deal. So one other thing I want to remind you is next week, which is the week ending April 20th, there is not going to be a dynamic duo. Next week, we are going to hit high gear getting ready for the Great Canadian Scrapbook Carnival, which is happening here in Calgary on the 19th and 20th. So no demo deals next week. We will have some special deals that'll be only happening at Carnival in person. And then the following week, the dynamic duo will be back on April 24th. So watch for that. The next Monday Night Live will be happening on May 6th. I know it seems like such a long ways away, but with Carnival, and then I'm actually out of town for a week. So May 6th will be our next Monday Night Live. But we still got a lot of great things happening at the Paper and Ink Boutique. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip to my overhead camera. So give me a moment to do that. There we go. You can see me here. Wonderful. Just going to, there we go. Okay, perfect. So we're talking about chippies, chipboard, and embossing glazes. Now, hang on. I just forgot. There we go. I want to remind you, we are going to do a live giveaway at the end of Monday Night Live tonight. So the giveaway tool is collecting your name from your comments. And at the end, we will run the giveaway tool and it will go flipping through all of your names and it will choose one of you who will win one jar of embossing glaze, and this one is seedless preserves, one package of Southern Ridge Trading Company chipboard, and this one is called Leaf Sprigs, and this one, which is the Flowers Chippies from Mintay. Okay, so somebody is going to win this at the end of Monday Night Live. You do have to comment because that is how the giveaway tool selects its winner, is by comments. So make sure you comment and you could be our winner tonight of this giveaway. Okay, I'm going to set that aside somewhere. Let me turn the other way. Here we go. And let's start talking about tonight. Okay. So I'm trying to remember when I did this. Last week, I think sometime, when I knew that I was going to be doing this. So I grabbed some chippies. I grabbed some embossing glazes, and I made a layout. So something special I did with this layout. See this frame? All these squares in this frame. So this is actually from a package of Mintay chippies. And what was in this package of chippies were these frames. So I actually popped all these frames out and I kept this part. this was just the background, just holding all of these frames in from this Mintay Chippies pack. So I took it and I thought, well, that's just too nice to toss in the garbage. So I decided to use it. I put it on some 49 and Market paper. And then these were some of the frames that I actually took out. And these I stamped on them. And then I used the diamond glaze on them. Sorry, not the diamond glaze, diamond rocks on these ones. And then on here, I use the Distress Embossing Glaze. So there you go. There is my layout. Yeah, right? I mean, I could not throw this out. It was just, it's like, I can use that for something. So it worked really well for a layout because it gave something for all of this to sit on and not feel like it's floating on the page, right? So there you go. This is the inspiration page that I made prior to tonight. There's Radovan for anyone who took Radovan classes last year. Finally scrapbooked those photos. Okay, so I'm going to put that away. And now we're actually going to get to creating. Now, how many of you have embossing glazes? Maybe you have them, have never used them, or maybe you've never tried them or heard of them, or maybe you're just like, what the heck is she talking about? Okay, so the embossing glazes, I've got mine in my little Edna bag here from Totally Tiffany. Love it. I don't have all the glazes, but I have a lot of them. And first of all, I want to do a demo with these, and I just want to show you how versatile these are. So I just have 3 pieces of paper. That's all I got, 3 pieces of foundations paper. Let's pick a color. Let's use something interesting. What do I want to use? Yeah, let's use abandoned coral. Okay, so I'm going to use abandoned coral. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use diamond medium. And the only reason I'm using diamond medium is I can't find my embossing powder or my embossing ink. It's here somewhere. I don't know where it is, but I'm going to use diamond medium. It's an embossing ink. It's a little bit thicker, but I'm going to use it anyways. Okay. So let's just do the embossing glaze on its own. Oh, some of you have never used it. Oh, that's fantastic. Okay. So let's just do the embossing glaze on its own. Let's just do that. Hang on one second. I feel like my camera is a little bit too far away. Just going to zoom in a little bit. And maybe that will be better. Oh yeah, that's much better. Okay, just zoomed in a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to take my pad. Now I could use a blending brush to put this on, or blending foam, but you know what? I just want the entire thing covered, so. Okay, there we go. I've got that covered in an embossing ink. Let me move this out of the way. The glaze. Okay, so you hear what I said. It's a glaze. So when I say glaze, that means it's translucent. It's not opaque. Say like a white embossing powder, that's going to be opaque. You're not going to be able to see anything through it. And that's why I'm showing you these 3. So right now, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to do the embossing glaze on its own. So all I'm using is paper and embossing ink. Okay, perfect. Hang on. Dumping that back in. Oops. Let me grab my thing here. Here. Okay. So that is the embossing glaze. That is abandoned coral. Absolutely gorgeous, stunning, right? So stunning. Now I could go in and I could do multiple layers of this and just make it darker and more colorful. But for this experiment, I'm only doing one layer. Okay. So let's set that one aside right now and let's bring in the second one. So now what I want to do, I'm going to bring in my abandoned coral distress oxide. Okay. Now abandoned coral distress oxide is, let me grab the oxides are a dye pigment hybrid. So because it has a pigment in it, that means this ink is slow drying. It doesn't dry super fast, so it stays sticky. So I don't need to use an embossing ink. I can just put it directly over the oxide. Okay, so let me get my abandoned coral distress oxide on here. Perfect. Bring this in. And now we're going to do the glaze, the abandoned coral glaze, right on top of the abandoned coral distress oxide. Okay, let's dump our excess out back into the jar. Abandoned coral is such a gorgeous color. Okay, so this was the first one I did. There you go. And this is the second one. So this one is on the plain white paper, one layer of embossing ink. And this one is over top of the distress oxide in the same color. So there you go. You can stamp on them, but because they are a shiny glaze, you would have to use something that dries on a non-porous surface. But I am going to be showing you some stamping. I usually do my stamping underneath, Lynn, but I'm going to do that in a little bit, okay? So one layer of embossing glaze. This one is just on white. This one is on top of the coordinating color. But there's another thing that you can do. And the next one really gives you infinite possibilities with these glazes. So let's do, oh, I don't know. Let's do this. Let's do spice marmalade. Let's do spice marmalade under abandoned coral. Let's do that. Let me grab a, here we go. Let's ink this up. So again, I'm working with an oxide, so it's got the pigment in it. So this is where you need to think about color theory. Like when you're mixing colors, whether it's paint or whatever it is, if you mix an orange and whatever abandoned coral is, coral, that is the color that is going to make, because these are translucent, but it's colored. Oh, I almost dumped that on top of there without my piece of paper. Let's do that again. Okay, so this time abandoned coral embossing glaze over spice marmalade. And let's see what we get. Okay, let me dump the excess back in the jar. Okay. And let's heat this one. Okay. And look at that. Same distress glaze. Distress glaze on its own over white paper. Distress glaze over the same distress oxide ink. So abandoned coral on top of abandoned coral. And this one, abandoned coral on top of spice marmalade. So you get this really rich orange color with the mix of the abandoned coral and the spice marmalade. So just look at how gorgeous that is. Isn't that amazing? I absolutely love that. Absolutely love it. Isn't that gorgeous? So you can even, I mean, I did the same color on the same side of the color wheel, but if you were to do, I only made 3 of these. Let me just grab another piece of paper real quick out of my little tickle trunk of leftover paper here. And you can actually do this on top of colored cardstock as well. You don't even have to ink it. You can actually use color cardstock. Okay, so I'm going to do one more, but this time we're going to do a color on the opposite side of the color wheel. So I'm going to do prize ribbon. Is that going to, there we go, prize ribbon and abandoned coral. Let's try one more so you can see what it looks like when you mix colors from different sides of the color wheel. Oh, and I think Brianna's just hopping in. Hello, Brianna. I think I need to re-ink my prize ribbon. I did post the deal, Brianna, but I got an error message posting to Facebook, so I don't know if it went there. Okay, so for this one, we are looking at using the prize ribbon distress oxide with abandoned coral. So remember, we did these 3 first, all abandoned coral, but now we're going to do something on the other side of the color wheel. Okay. And just in case you're wondering, Brianna, yes, I turned on the giveaway tool. She's probably wondering, did I remember? Did she remember to do that? I did, all on my own. Okay, so let's try this. There we go. So it gives you this really deep kind of indigo color. It's like this really, really rich, dark, dark blue purple color. So if I hold these up, these are all abandoned coral. All abandoned coral. So this abandoned coral all on its own, just embossing ink on white paper. That's all you get. This one, abandoned coral embossing glaze on top of abandoned coral distress oxide. This one, abandoned coral on top of spiced marmalade distress oxide. And this one, which is on top of prize ribbon distress oxide. But they are all, well, it's a darker blue, but it's almost purple. It might not be coming through, but in real life, it's almost like this really dark bluey purple color, but it's really cool. Okay, so that's just one of the things you can do. with embossing glazes. There's tons more, but I just wanted to show that you can have one color but get such a wide palette. And when these first came out, I actually did, I'm trying to remember what color it was. Can't even remember what color it was, but you can get so many different colors just by mixing it on top of different ink colors. So absolutely stunning. Now, you don't have to use a Distress Oxide. Maybe you want it to be a color of Catherine Pooler or Altenew or whatever it might be. Now, those are dye ink, so they're not going to stay wet enough to dump it on, but you would just use your embossing powder, or sorry, your embossing ink on top of that color and be able to get another combo like that. So yeah, infinite possibilities with the glazes. Okay, now let's start talking about chipboard. Chipboard, because I get a lot of questions about what you can do with chipboard. Honestly, it's what can't you do with chipboard? So many things. So I did show on the layout that I did. I'm going to bring it back in here. The chipboards from the Frames Chippies. So you can see those there. Really fabulous. Absolutely love them. And let me bring these in here. This is the, and for the life of me, I can't remember the name of it, Brianna. It was the Pets. I think it was the Pets. So the one I have here is all cats and dogs. There's one in here I really like. Look at that one. Isn't that one so, oh my gosh, I just love it. So I took them all out of the packaging and now I've got them stored in my craft stacks. But I wanted to show this one. I embossed this one. Yes, you can emboss chipboard. You absolutely can. So I embossed this one with an embossing folder. This is one of the new ones from, oh, cats and dogs. Well, duh. Like that wasn't obvious. Cats and dogs. I'm just going to zoom out just a smidge. Okay, so this is embossed. Yep, they are a bit thicker, but yes, you can emboss them. Now, if you're wondering what sandwich, I can't speak for all sandwiches, but this is what I use from the Universal Plate System. I use Platform A and Adapter Plate D. So I didn't have to use the other plate because the chipboard is a little bit thicker. But all I had to do was use these two plates with my embossing folder and the chipboard. So I used this embossing folder here. That one there. And this is one of the new ones, and I am loving it. It's called Leafy Helix. Absolutely gorgeous. Yeah. So anyhow, that's what I did with that one there. So yeah, you can emboss them. Would I use this embossing folder on a pet? Not necessarily, but I would totally use it on a frame or circles or whatever it is. I just happened to do this one just because it was, there you go. Excuse me, I just have to take a drink. My mouth just suddenly went very dry. Whew, okay. Now, probably the thing that I like to do most with chipboard is I like using them as silhouettes, especially if they're images of like flowers or dogs or, you know, I'd like to just use them as a silhouette. And what I mean by that is painting them black. Actually, I can do a frame here too. Let me do a frame while I'm at it. Let me just get some paper towel to help me with the mess. And what I mean by silhouettes is I like just painting them black or inking. I prefer painting, but you can ink them as well. I'm just going to grab a brush. Hang on. So painting them black gives you a really cool silhouette effect. And these are porous. They are made with paper. They're a chipboard, so they are porous. So you may have to do a couple of coats of paint and ink, actually, because your ink or your paint is going to soak into the paper. Now I'm using a black gesso, so maybe not, but I always make sure to paint the edges as well. Now I'm not going to get too fussy on it on my live, but there you go. So you can just see, just by adding just the paint, how gorgeous that is. How stunning is that? Like just painting it black and you get this gorgeous silhouette. Unbelievable. So let's do the frame. Might as well do the frame while we're here. This one has gears on it. Brianna, can you give me the name of this one? For the life of me, I can't remember. I don't know if it's just called frames or not, or maybe Polaroid. I'm trying to remember what this one was called. And of course, I take it out of the package, so the packaging out. So now I don't remember. Okay, so again, depending on what it looks like when it dries, you might need to do a second coat. But again, I always make sure that I paint the edges. Okay, and then you get this really nice frame. Oh, Chippy's photos. Photos. Okay. Well, I'm obviously trying to make it a little bit more difficult than what it needs to be. So let me dry these. Now, these are gorgeous just like this. I would totally put this on the front of a card, maybe as a bereavement card for somebody who has lost a pet. Absolutely stunning, looks gorgeous. But you don't need to stop there. No, you don't need to stop there, because what I can do is I can come in. I've got a clear gloss. So maybe I want to make it a little bit shiny. Maybe I want to do shine. So I'm just going to take my embossing ink all over. There we go. And now let's put, oh, whew, boy, that was tough. Just some clear gloss embossing glaze on. There we go. Just going to dump that back in. And now let's dry this. And now I've got an image, but now it is shiny black. Or yeah, now it's a shiny black one. I'm going to put it on top of there so you can see that. But how cool is that? And this is probably my favorite way of using chippies like this, is using them as a silhouette. Absolutely gorgeous. Totally love them. Like, isn't that is so cool. Oh, there we go. There we can see the shine. There we go. Okay, I'm going to set that aside. Now, oh my word, I don't know why I picked this one up. This one seems very scary to me. This is the Southern Ridge Trading Company one. This one is actually a two-piece. It's actually the moon. It's supposed to be the moon, but isn't that cool? Look at how cool it is. Stunning. Okay, I've actually had an idea for this, so let's just go for it. I'm going to, and then I'm going to show you some stamping. I said I was going to show you some stamping. I'll show you some stamping. Just give me a moment. I am looking for Lost Shadow. I know I have it. Yep, Lost Shadow. And Lost Shadow. I don't even know if I've used Lost Shadow yet. This feels like it's brand new, like I've never opened it before. Okay, let's do this one. So I'm just going to ink this chipboard. With the gray. Whoa. Okay, now let's do our Lost Shadow on top of it. Oh, lid's already off. So Lost Shadow on top of Lost Shadow. So it's really just going to make it gray. Hang on. I have blown enough embossing powder away with my heat tool that I know enough to just dump it back in. Just dump it back in. Going to see if this is hot enough that I can just dump that on and see if I can keep it on there. Nope. Just want to do a second layer. Hang on. Thank you, Brianna. Brianna's reminding you to comment because we are doing a giveaway at the end of Monday Night Live. And if you missed what the giveaway was, don't worry, I'll show it again before we do the draw. All you have to do is comment. Just takes one comment to win. Ah, there we go. One more layer. Okay, so there's, whoops, there's the background of our moon. This part's going to go on top there. So I actually want it a darker color. I don't want it black, but I want it to be, well, I don't really want it black either, but let me grab, here we go. I'm going to grab some white paint for the top, and then we're going to put the Lost Shadow on top of the white. Yeah. Okay. I need another brush. Hang on. So I'm just going to put white on here. Hey, was anyone close enough to see a total eclipse of the sun today? We didn't have anything. Well, we were like 20% here in Alberta, which was basically nothing. Anyone? Even my sister down in Houston didn't get to see it. It was cloudy and rainy. But I have family in Southern Ontario who had a great view. But anyone here watch the eclipse today? I found out today that Calgary's going to be in the path of a total eclipse in the year 2044. So I've added that to my calendar because I don't want to miss that. Just in case you're wondering, August 22nd, 2044, 20 years from now. Hopefully I'll still be around to see that. Oh yeah, you would have been on the other side of the path of it, wouldn't you, Veronda? Yeah. I remember a total eclipse when I was in elementary school in Ontario. It was weird being at school when it was completely dark outside. That was the 70s. But I don't think I really appreciated what an eclipse was at the age of 6. I don't think I really appreciated it. Okay, so I'm just adding some white. This is actually just white gesso. To this. Normally I wouldn't be going this fast, but I've got a lot to talk about. You know, with Monday night, I just like to share all the things. Just like to share all of it, right? Okay. Okay, let me just give this a quick dry. And now we're going to put our embossing ink on there. Honestly, I don't know why I'm using that when I've got this. This would be way faster. Okay, there we go. Okay, so white paint, and now I'm going to do Lost Shadow on top of the white. So it'll still be gray, but it'll be a lighter gray than the background I did. So it should be a good contrast. I'm hoping, fingers are crossed. There we go. There we go. Okay, let's see what this looks like. There we go. So then when you layer them together, whoa, look at that. That's cool. What type of paints you could use to paint chipboard, or does it really matter? You know, it doesn't really matter. I use all kinds of acrylic paint. Yeah. So look at that moon. Isn't that cool? So that's actually 2 pieces. This is a 2-piece chipboard. You see a lot of different chipboards. Some of them you can layer up like cars, trucks, animals, different things that you can layer up. But look at how cool that is. I don't even know what I'm going to use this for, but I think it's totally cool. That's amazing. Okay, so that was a Southern Ridge Trading Company, and that one was called Large Full Moon. And there is another one. There is a smaller one as well, but I got the large one. So yeah, there you go. That's Large Full Moon. Okay, let's do other things. Just going to close that one up. Okay, so somebody was asking if you could stamp. Yes, you can. Now, I usually stamp under the glaze because the glaze is shiny and it's going to resist a lot of dye inks. So I usually, if I want to stamp, I usually paint it first. So I'm going to use just a white gesso on here. I could use other paint too, but I'm going to use white so you can see the painting or the stamping. a little bit easier, but you could paint this with any paint color. You want it pink, paint it pink. You want it green, whatever. Just paint it. This will be like your primer. It'll seal it so that when you stamp on it, your ink is not going to soak in and kind of bloom on it. It won't run. So I like to paint it with gesso first. But like I said, you could use any acrylic paint. Any acrylic paint will do. There we go. Give this just a quick blast of heat. And let me just take my most favorite stamp ever. This is actually my second version of this stamp because my first one, I used it until it basically, actually, I just found it. The rubber actually shrunk on it. That's what happened. Okay, so I'm going to use a permanent ink. Let me see. I've got just handy here. I've got my Lisa Horton. So I'm just going to put some Lisa Horton ink on there. And let's just add some inking to that. So I just added some stamping. Okay, there you go. That looks really cool. Get rid of that. Now, even though it's a permanent ink, I always like to heat set it before I do anything, because if it's just a little bit wet, I'm going to put my finger in it and I'll smudge it. Okay, so that's heat set. Okay, hurry, quick. Somebody give me a color, any color. Somebody shout out a color in the comments. I've got a lot of oxides, so just shout out pink or purple or whatever. Just shout it out and tell me what color to use. Ooh, teal. What do I have? Oh, how about here? Peacock feathers. That's pretty close. That's like close. Oh, look. That's like close to my oh, wow. Okay, first one I saw was teal. So let's do teal. Okay, so chipboard, painted white, stamped on with a permanent ink. And, oh, well, Julia, don't be silly. You got to actually quit. So I'm just going to put some... And you know what? I'm feeling a little saucy, so let's do two colors. So I'm just going to look up. I see green. Okay, do I? Oh, do you know what? The green I've got is really dark. I'm going to do yellow. Let's do yellow. Okay, so I've got it covered with my embossing ink. Let's do that. Now, I got to say, oh, now it's going to stick on there because I used the embossing ink. That's okay. We carry, and they are from Ranger, these empty bottles. We sell these empty bottles. And I haven't done it in a long time, but when I was doing a lot of embossing, and sometimes I would do this in mixed colors, well, I'm not going to be able to pour this back in here because now I'm going to have some squeezed lemonade in my selvage patina, and that's going to not look nice, right? So you can buy the empty containers. Actually, that squeezed lemonade is stuck on there because of the ink, so I'm just going to pour that in there. You can actually make your own mixes of colors. Yeah. Oops. Okay, so I'm going to take a little bit of the yellow. There we go. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, let me move that off to the side. So now I've got 2 colors on there. Oh yeah, the empty bottles. Yeah, if you finish off one of these bottles, keep them. Yeah. Okay, perfect. So now I'm going to do a second layer because these are translucent, so you can layer the colors up. So I'm just going to add some more embossing ink. What do we get when we mix yellow and blue? We get green. Okay. So I'm just going to let's just do this. Let's just be a mixin'. I unfortunately don't have any empty bottles right now, which is making me kind of sad, but here we go. Look at that color. Oh, that's fun. Okay. Actually, I'll show you what to do with those if you don't have bottles. And then look at that. Isn't that fun? And that's just a mix of 2 different colors, just randomly put on there. But look how cool that looks. It's random. There's the stamping, which makes it really cool. But look at how fun that is. Oh yeah, you could totally use old prescription bottles. I'm just going to show you something else, which I've got a tag ready right now. Because I have done this with embossing powders. Sometimes I like to die cut words out of them. And I know you can die cut the word and use your embossing powder, but you know, when I've got leftover embossing powder like this, if I just make like a background, put my embossing ink on it, trying not to spill too much of it. But because there's so much, I'm actually going to heat it from the bottom. Oh my word, look how cool that is. It's super hot and super thick, so I'm not going to touch it. I'm not going to touch it because it'll burn me. But when that dries, you can actually see the blue and the yellow, and then when it's really thick, it almost looks like water. So cool. Okay, let me move that out of the way. So anyhow, that is one thing I would do with extras. And then what I could do is I could cut this out. I could punch circles out of it. I could die cut a word out of it. I could use like a permanent ink and stamp on it. But look at how cool that is. If anyone's wondering what 2 colors Salvage Patina and Squeeze Lemonade make, if anyone's wondering, there you go. Wonder no more. Okay, something else I like to do with chipboard. Let me find, here we go. Let's go back to our pets here. I'm going to, let's see, there is so many. Okay, let's pick a cat and a dog. Let's not show favoritism. All pets are beautiful. Something else I like to do with these is to put printed tissue on them. Now, these are already pretty white. The The Southern Ridge are more of a brown chipboard. These ones from Mintay are more of a white. So you don't really need to paint them because they are a light color, but I like to paint them because it seals them. So I am going to paint these with some gesso, and then I'm going to put some printed tissue on them. So kind of in the same sense of stamping as I would do the printed tissue under the glaze, if you're glazing them. Okay, so I've got those painted. I didn't put a piece of paper towel down to help me with my mess. Okay, let's just give these a quick dry. Okay. I have got a ton of printed tissue from Paper Artsy. I'm just looking at this one. What do I want? Okay, let's do I'm just doing little pieces because these are little chippy pieces. We just need little pieces. Okay, here we go. Here we go. And what did I do with my, here we go, that medium. And the brush. Okay, so I'm just going to put some printed tissue. So this is kind of like, stamping it. Kind of the same, kind of different. Now you're probably like, Julia, but it's going over the edge. Yeah, I know. I'll fix it. There we go. So that one's done. Let's do a little bit on this. What is this? A German Shepherd? Looks like a German Shepherd to me. While the matte medium is still wet, it's pretty easy to just go along those edges and tear them apart, tear them away. Oops. This would be a great way to use up, maybe you've got like little scraps or something and you want to use them on the edge of frames or on chipboard pieces. This is a really good way to do that. Okay, let's do that one. This one is also done. Yeah, mixing. I always tell people always say, oh, I didn't know you could mix them. Do you know what makes it mixing? What I love about it, it makes me feel like I'm a scientist, like I'm a mad scientist, just like, mixing things. Okay, there we go. So there we go. I just put some printed tissue on them. And now let's add an embossing glaze. What should we do? Let's do wild honey for our cat. And what's this one? Speckled egg. Sure, let's do those. go. Do our little cat friend here first. What's the dabber? This is actually the diamond medium, but there's also the emboss it dabber, which is an embossing glaze as well. I like using the dabbers. These actually work really well through stencils as well. So this is the diamond medium one, the one that Diane Reevely came out of, but Tim Holtz also has the emboss it dabber, which they're basically the same thing. I do find the diamond medium a little bit thicker. I don't know if that's just me, but it seems like it's a bit thicker. Look, I got the entire thing with the embossing ink except for right there. Well, son of a nutcracker. Okay, I'm going to have to come back and do that. Okay, I'm going to let that cool and then I'll come back and do that one again. But let's move you out of the way. Just be careful when you're doing your embossing because the embossing glaze or embossing powders do stay hot. So don't touch it right away. And I'm telling you that because I have touched it when it has been hot and I have burnt my fingertips. So yeah, do as I say, not as I do. I said I was going to do speckled egg, but I think I'm going to do crackling campfire instead. Ooh, that's a nice color. That is a beautiful color. Obviously, I've used it. My bottle's half empty, but I always forget. I don't have so much stuff. You kind of forget how beautiful things are. But of course it's beautiful because I bought it. That means I thought it was beautiful. So there you go. Move him out of the way. Let's come back here with our dabber and fill in the spots that I missed. So I have only shown you just very few. Whoa. I thought I got all that out. Very few things that you can do it because I'm mostly focusing on the glazes and those things. But painting, inking, embossing, dry embossing, which I showed you here, dry embossing. You can, oops, move him out of the way. No, I don't want this one. You can, I'm trying to, I didn't bring that, the Southern Ridge board home that she made for us, which is absolutely amazing. You can do stenciling on them. Absolutely, you can stencil on these. Texture paste. There we go. You and me both, Delphine. You and me both. There we go. Ooh, look at that. I'm going to bring that back in. Look how gorgeous that is. Oh, that's stunning. I got to die cut a word or something out of that. But that is embossing glazes over top of printed tissue. That's fun too. Okay, this is your 1 minute warning. We are going to do our draw for our giveaway. Look at, isn't that gorgeous? We're going to do our giveaway draw in just 1 minute. So you've got 1 minute to ask a question, to throw a comment up there, to be able to win our prize. And I'm going to grab that back so you can see it. So there's just a few of the things I did tonight. Oh, there's this one too. And then for those of you who weren't here at the beginning, this is a scrapbook layout that I did. No, Glenn, you can't win. You ask me that every week, and I say every week, no, you cannot win. So this is a layout that I made. And what I wanted to point out is this frame that you see across the page was actually the chippy frame that these photo frames were in. So after I popped them out, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't throw that out. So I decided to make a layout with it. So yeah, there you go. Isn't that cool? Absolutely love it. So there we go. I did a bunch of things, bunch of fun things. Oh, Lynn, you are so sweet. I hope you win. I hope that comment wins you the prize pack, Lynn. I honestly do. That is so sweet. He did win me. I am a prize. You know I'm a prize. Okay, let me grab our giveaway so I can show you what it is. Okay, so one of you is going to win a package of the, oh, it's upside down, the flower. Oh my goodness. Where would you use rub-ons? After? Yeah, no, I would use rub-ons under. You know what? That's a good question. Have I ever used rub-ons on top? Well, darn it all. You guys you just come up with the most interesting questions. You know what? I have some rub-ons, so hang on. Hang on. I got some rub-ons. I got a few rub-ons. Okay, let's see if they stick on top. Let's just do it. How about this? Should I stick a rub-on on there? I don't know, maybe. What do I have here? I haven't even opened these yet. Here, let me do it on this one. Hang on, let me do it on this one. Let me see if I have something that will show up on it. Here, let's do this. Bonus Monday Night Live content. You guys are lucky. And it still gives you a few more minutes to get your name in, to get your comments in so you can win. I don't know if this is going to show up. It might be too close to this color, but let's give it a whirl. Let's try and use the word art. Let's do that. You know what? It's not sticking that great. It's not sticking that great. I'm just saying, no. It didn't really stick that good. It's kind of all, ugh. Yeah, and now this has paint on it. So it didn't stick really good. Yeah. Okay. I mean, it stuck a little bit, but I think it would be better underneath. Is there any tricks to cutting a word out of the mixed color embossing powder on the tag? Will it crack? Well, you know, you guys, let me see if I can find a word die really quick. Hang on. I might have one. If you're willing to stick around, we'll give it a go. Oh, let me just see what I've got. And yet another crafty tickle trunk here in my craft room. Do I have a word die? Is this a word die? Too many things to pick from, Tasha. Oh, here we go. I got one. Okay. I think this is what you mean, right? Okay, hang on. Need to get some tape. Need to get some tape so it doesn't move. Okay. Got my Platinum 6 here. And let's see what happens. All right, I need to swap this out. These are my better pressing plates. This is my die cutting plate. Here we go. Okay, let's see what happens. I'm going back. I went forward and now I'm going back. Didn't quite cut through. Let me just throw in a piece of paper. Do I have my, oh yeah, I do. Just going to throw in a shim. I did put this embossing glaze on very thick. Probably not the best idea for die cutting a word, but let's give it a go with the shim. Oh, well, this is interesting. It actually peeled the glaze off. Oh, now that is fun. Okay, hang on. I need to get my pokey tool. Because my glazed word is in the die. See, I've never die cut. No, see, it cracks. I've never die cut the glazes. I've only ever die cut white embossing powder. Have I ruined this die? Oh, no, it's coming out. But it did. Look what it did. It almost made like... I would totally glue that into my art journal. And it's all cracky and beautiful. Yeah, that actually surprised me too. But I also just noticed that this tag has also been covered in gesso, which also could have affected it. I didn't notice that when I first put it on, but it is covered in gesso. But that's fun. Well, now I'm just going to have to sit here and like crack a bunch of embossing glaze. But that is fun. Look at that right here. Embossing glaze chips. And on the front side, it's shiny. On the back side, it's matte. Look at that. Well, we learn something new every day, don't we? Okay, there we go. I am just going to sweep that aside and bring back in our giveaway because I put it somewhere. Here we go. So we've got the flowers, the chippies, which I have to say, I love these as silhouettes. Stained glass. And do you know what? I bet you if you were to take your heat tool to it, it would melt again. Again, I'll have to try that. We've got the Leaf Sprigs Chipboard from Southern Ridge and the Seedless Preserves Embossing Glaze from Tim Holtz. Okay, let me go to our giveaway tool. Okay, are we ready? Oh, oops. Oh, shoot. I forgot to share screen. Hang on. Share screen. Oh, it was still picking when I shared screen. There's our winner. There is our winner. Rhonda Simmons is the winner. Woo! There you go, Rhonda. You are the winner of the chippies and the... Here, I'm going to... Hang on. There we go. And I'm back. Congrats, Rhonda. We'll make sure we get this out to you really soon. But Rhonda has won the chipboard, the chippies, and the seedless preserves embossing glaze. Okay, hang on. I'm going to flip back to my front camera. Oops, to my front camera. There we go. I'm back. So don't forget, Dynamic Duo will not be happening next week because we are going to go hardcore getting ready for Carnival for the 19th and 20th of April. But the Dynamic Duo will be back on April 24th with another fantastic demo. And then I will be back for Monday Night Live on Monday, May 6th. So there we go, everyone. If you've got embossing glazes in Chipboard, get out and have some fun. Don't forget, our demo deal is happening until midnight tomorrow night online and until 4 p.m. tomorrow night in the store. Have a great evening, everyone. And don't forget, if you want to catch the replay, you can find it on our YouTube channel.